The alert had no sound, no klaxon. It simply appeared, a single line of code in a monitoring system that hadn't been touched in 20 years.
It's the long-lost signal, the beacon. It's active.
Within seconds, the room transformed from quiet night watch to full crisis posture. Officers scrambled to stations.
Get me Admiral Vasquez now.
Aboard the Retribution, Admiral Elena Vasquez received the alert with the stillness of someone who had been waiting 20 years.
Protocol reprisal. Launch the fleet.
All across Earth's orbital platforms, docking clamps released and reactors surged. Dreadnoughts that had sat idle for 2 decades came alive.
Commander, signal the Stargate. We leave within the hour.
The Stargate ring, dormant in the void, began to glow. Ancient machinery awakened after years of silent waiting. The promise Earth made 20 years ago was now a fleet in motion, and it would not stop until the beacon was answered. Hundreds of light years away, the Krell battlecruiser Carrick's Vengeance patrolled the edge of a forgotten debris field.
Scan that debris. I want to know if anything is still intact.
The view screen highlighted a single object, a tiny, battered escape pod, orange and white, tumbling slowly.
Terran markings. Old war junk. Bring it aboard. Perhaps the salvage will amuse the crew.
The tractor beam latched on, pulling the pod through the hangar's atmospheric shield. The Krell moved with the confidence of predators who had long forgotten to fear prey.
Notify the salvage team. I expect a report within the hour. Keep it isolated until we know it is not booby-trapped.
The pod touched down on the hangar deck with a heavy clang, its scorched hull steaming in the alien atmosphere.
Interesting, but nothing to threaten the Carrack.
Veshtark turned from the view screen, already bored. He did not look back, and in the dark of the hangar, sealed away from the crew, the Terran pod continued what it had been doing for 20 years, transmitting. The salvage team worked quickly, their cutting beams slicing through the pod's ancient seals.
Open it. I would see what the humans left behind.
The hatch cracked open, releasing a gasp of frozen air that vaporized in the warm hangar.
A corpse, a human, mummified. He died in his seat, alone.
On the console, a single light blinked. Cyan. Steady. Uninterrupted for 20 years.
What is this? A distress beacon, still transmitting after all this time?
The technician shrugged, his scanner showing a repeating signal with no response codes.
Old Terran junk, leave it. It is harmless.
He turned away, his attention already drifting to more pressing matters. The beacon's pulse remained unwavering. Veshtark did not know, could not know, that the beacon was not a cry for help. It was a summons, and it had been answered. In the Krell Analyst Station, a junior technician studied the beacon's signal waveform. It was not random noise. It was a repeating, structured data stream. He flagged it for the commander. Veshtark arrived, still in his duty armor, and looked at the display with impatience.
It is a dead human's distress beacon. The loop has repeated for 20 years. There is no threat here.
The technician tried to object. The pattern was too precise, the signal strength too stable. But Veshtark raised a hand, silencing him.
I will not waste resources on old wreckage. Secure it and delete the alert.
The beacon was placed on an empty munitions crate, its light blinking in the dark corner of the hangar.
A human corpse and a broken radio. That is all.
He returned to the command throne, dismissing the matter from his mind. The sensor logs recorded the signal and moved on, but the beacon continued to broadcast, its coded message slicing through subspace, unanswered by the Krell and not unheard. The signal carried a code one strategic command had sworn never to forget.
Commander Cole, explain the protocol for the bridge. I want everyone to know what we are doing.
During the Krell War, every doomed crew received a one-time key beacon. If activated, Earth promised to respond at full force, no matter the delay.
And this is it? The long-lost signal?
Yes. The beacon is sending a coordinate in Krell space. The protocol: launch the reprisal fleet, travel there, and demand surrender under the original terms.
The terms expired decades ago.
The beacon reactivates them. Earth will not renegotiate.
On the bridge, the weight settled. They were not going to rescue anyone. They were going to end a war within the hour. Earth's public screens carried the news. The reprisal fleet was launching. A promise made 20 years ago was finally being kept. The promise had a name. In the pod's black box, one final recording remained, a log made 20 years earlier, by the man who died in that seat.
This is Lieutenant Stephen Merrifield, United Space Forces. My escape pod has sustained critical damage. Life support is at 5%.
He had slammed the transmit button as his pod jettisoned from the dying ship, the beacon activating with a final surge of emergency power.
I've activated the long-lost beacon. Protocol Reprocel. If Strategic Command still monitors this frequency, respond. I don't know if anyone is listening anymore, but I have to believe Earth keeps its promises. For Earth, I wait.
The log ended. The beacon's light, undimmed, continued its steady pulse, transmitting into the void for 20 years. Stephen Merrifield's body drifted, a silent sentinel in the void, alone but not forgotten. He had been 23, a soldier who held on to hope across the silence. And now, the promise was being kept. Despite Vesh Tark's order, the analyst team continued decoding the beacon's signal. Deep within its structure, they found coordinates. The lead technician approached Vesh Tark on the bridge, datapad in hand. His face was tight with alarm.
Commander, the Terran beacon is not a distress call. It's a positional lock. Targeting this system, a targeting coordinate for a dead man's pod. You are spinning ghosts. Delete the log and stand down.
The technician hesitated, but the commander's tone left no room. The alert was silenced again. Later, alone in his quarters, Vesh Tark replayed the decoded data. The coordinate was live, actively receiving.
A targeting beacon for a system that isn't transmitting any response. That makes no sense, unless it's not expecting a response.
But he dismissed the thought. Pride would not let him reconsider a decision made publicly.
It is nothing. A ghost from a dead war.
But the unease remained, a cold weight behind his eyes. Vesh Tark could no longer ignore the weight behind his eyes. He returned to the hangar, a cutting tool in hand, to silence the signal himself.
Open it. I will rip the transmitter out with my own claws if I must.
The technician pried open the casing, exposing a crystalline core that pulsed with undimmed cyan light.
What is this? It's sealed against intrusion.
The core burned his fingertips, discharging a defensive shock. The beacon was tamper-proofed at the molecular level. Frustrated, Vesh Tark went to the bridge and opened a direct channel to the homeworld. High Chancellor Malcor's face appeared, aged and impatient.
Chancellor, we have recovered a Terran beacon. It is transmitting a tactical coordinate. I dismissed it as debris, but I was mistaken.
A 20-year-old human beacon? You are certain it's not a malfunction? Explain its significance, Commander.
It is a targeting lock, Chancellor. Active. I recommend a full-scale analysis and fleet readiness.
Very well. I will dispatch our intelligence council, but do not raise the home fleet yet. Panic over a relic would shame us.
The Stargate erupted with blue-white fire, the energy vortex pulling at space itself. One by one, dreadnoughts slid from the throat of the gate. First through was the Retribution, Admiral Vasquez on her bridge. The ship's hull glinted as it cleared the event horizon. Below them, the Krell homeworld turned peacefully. Its orbital defenses sat quiet, unaware of the storm gathering above.
All ships assume blockade formation. They don't know we're here yet. Let's keep it that way until we're ready.
The dreadnoughts fanned out, a wall of steel and firepower stretching across the orbital plane.
Hold position. We wait for the exact coordinates from the beacon. Then we move. 20 years. We've trained for this. Now we fulfill our promise.
For 2 decades, the reprisal fleet had been kept in constant rotation. Every ship crewed, every weapon maintained. Waiting. No Krell scanner had yet detected them. But the clock had begun. The galaxy had never seen a force assembled for a single purpose: to answer a dead soldier's call. The Krell early warning network screamed to life. On every defense station, the same image: a wall of human dreadnoughts, massive and utterly silent. On the Karak's vengeance, alarms blared. Vesh-Tark stared at the tactical hologram, the blood draining from his face.
A trap! I brought them here! The beacon. It was never a distress call.
Within minutes, Chancellor Malkor's hologram materialized on the bridge, his old scaled face contorted with fury.
Commander Vesh-Tark, you told me it was a relic. Now an armada sits above our world. Explain yourself.
Chancellor, I dismissed it. I thought it harmless debris. I was wrong. The beacon is a targeting signal. It summoned them here.
The council chamber erupted. Advisors shouted blame. The truth settled like poison. The beacon was a one-time key. Activated, it triggered a 20-year-old reprisal protocol.
It was not a distress beacon. It was a Trojan horse, a call to war, and you answered it for the humans.
In the cities below, sirens wailed. Krell citizens looked up at the sky, their world's helplessness reflected in their eyes. Vesh-Tark's mistake was complete, and the reprisal fleet had not yet begun to speak. Aboard the Retribution, Admiral Vasquez opened a channel to every Krell frequency. The entire world would hear her voice.
Krell government and people, this is Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Earth Reprisal Fleet. We are here to enforce Protocol Reprisal, activated by Lieutenant Stephen Merrowfield's beacon.
In the council chamber, Chancellor Malkor and his advisors listened in, stunned silence. The hologram of Vasquez dominating the room.
Your forces admitted defeat in the Krell War. The terms of surrender were never formally ratified. Today, that changes.
Terms? Those were from a war that ended 20 cycles ago. You cannot demand...
The beacon reactivates the original terms. Earth will not renegotiate. Full demilitarization, reparations, and unconditional surrender. You have 1 hour.
The chamber fell deathly quiet. Malkor's advisors exchanged horrified glances. The fleet above them was not bluffing.
We have no fleet that can match them. We cannot fight.
The man who activated this beacon died 20 years ago, alone, waiting for Earth to answer. We are that answer.
Malkor sank into his chair. The full weight of the protocol crushed any hope of defiance. The countdown had begun. In the council chamber, Krell strategists uploaded their final battle projections. The numbers left no room for hope.
Fire warning pattern. Let them see what we could do.
The Retribution's main batteries opened up, orange streaks slicing past the Krell orbital platforms, close enough to rattle their hulls. On the surface, millions looked up. The sky burned with fire that did not fall.
Hold fire. Do not return a single shot. We must not give them reason.
His military advisors pressed around him, their tactical displays all showing the same conclusion. Zero chance of survival if they fought.
Chancellor Malkor, your time is at an end. I await your answer.
A dead soldier summoned this, and we cannot fight his ghost.
The council chamber erupted into fearful silence. There was no more argument, only the grim acceptance of what must be done. Malkor looked at the faces around him, then at the ceiling, as if he could see the fleet through the stone. He opened his mouth to speak. Before Malkor could speak, a hardliner counselor stood, pointing at Vesh-Tark's hologram. The chamber erupted with blame.
I admit my mistake, but fighting is madness. Earth's fleet will annihilate us.
Your mistake has already cost us everything. Guards, take Commander Vesh-Tark into custody. He is stripped of his rank.
2 armored Krell guards seized Vesh-Tark on the Karak's bridge, dragging him from his command for the last time. He did not resist. There was nothing left to command. In the council chamber, the hardliners called for honor, even in death. Malkor's faction urged reason.
Honor. There is no honor in extinction. We must accept the terms before we are destroyed.
But the hardliners roared back. The council split down the middle. shouting over one another.
I must force a vote before the hour ends. Delay is death.
Malcor called for a final vote. The fate of the Krell would be decided before the ultimatum expired. Before the vote could proceed, Malcor requested a direct channel to the Retribution. He needed to hear the terms from the Admiral herself.
Admiral Vasquez, before our council decides, I must know, are the terms the same as the original armistice proposal? Are there any modifications?
The terms are unchanged from the Krell War armistice. Full disarmament of all military assets, reparations for human losses, and unconditional surrender. No occupation, no executions.
Harsh, but not annihilation. There is a path to survival. These terms are severe, but I will present them to the Council and recommend acceptance. Earth will not fire.
If the surrender is ratified within the hour, the fleet will stand down. You have my word.
The hologram flickered out. Malcor turned to face the Council, the weight of his decision etched into his scaled features.
I have spoken with the human admiral. The terms are the original armistice. We can survive this, but we must surrender.
The hardliners still muttered, but the urgency of the moment silenced most dissent. The vote would be called. Malcor prepared to cast his own vote first, setting a precedent. The fate of the Krell hung on a single roll call. In a dim Krell detention cell, Vesh Tark knelt on the cold floor, his armor stripped, his insignia torn from his collar.
I saw the beacon blink. I ordered it left on a crate. Harmless, I said. I could have ended it. One command to delete the signal, and Earth would have never known. But I was too proud. Arrogance. That was my treason. I gambled our entire world because I couldn't admit a dead human's trinket held the power to destroy us.
The memory replayed. He had stood in the hangar, watched the technician shrug, and turned away. The beacon's light, unanswered by him.
A dead man outwitted me. A soldier frozen in his coffin, staring at nothing, and still he won. My people will pay for my pride, and I will live to witness it. That is the only justice left.
He had been a commander of the Karak's vengeance. Now he was a name that would be cursed for generations.
I was a fool, and I will die knowing that. But my people, may they forgive me.
No one heard him. The council was voting. The fleet waited, and Commander Vesh Tark, alone in the dark, finally understood the weight of a single moment's arrogance.
I vote to accept the terms of surrender, to save our people.
The holographic tally board lit up. One by one, councilors followed, a cascade of submission. 93 votes to 7.
Admiral Vasquez, the Krell High Council, has voted. We accept unconditional surrender under the original armistice terms.
Aboard the Retribution, Vasquez watched the transmission in silence, then allowed herself a slow, measured breath.
All ships, stand down from battle stations. The war is over.
Across the fleet, weapon hatches sealed and targeting arrays went dark. The reprisal fleet had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. On the Krell homeworld, the sirens fell silent. In the council chamber, the weight of defeat settled into the bones of every present.
It is done. We have chosen to endure.
Krell government, your surrender is accepted. Earth will honor its word. The guns are silent.
After 20 years, the Krell War had its final chapter, and a dead soldier's beacon had written the last word.
Prepare a retrieval shuttle. I want Lieutenant Merrowfield's remains brought aboard the Retribution with full honors.
A small Earth shuttle, its hull, painted with Honor Guard insignia, detached from the Retribution and glided toward the Karak's vengeance. The Krell hangar bay stood open, the orange and white pod exactly where Vesh Tark had left it. Dismissed as junk, 6 human soldiers in ceremonial dress entered the pod. They lifted the desiccated body with the reverence reserved for a fallen king. Beside the body, the beacon still pulsed. A technician carefully disconnected it, the only living part of the pod after 20 years. A final data confirmation flickered on the tech's scanner. Then, with a single command, the beacon deactivated. Its cyan light died. Aboard the Retribution, the flag-draped coffin was carried across the flight deck, by the honor guard, dreadnought crew stood at attention.
Lieutenant Merrifield, you waited. Earth is here.
She raised her hand in a slow, deliberate salute. Behind her, the entire bridge crew did the same. The ship fell silent. The beacon's 20-year mission was complete. The man inside the coffin had won the war, and now he was coming home. The Stargate flared one last time, and the reprisal fleet emerged in high orbit above Earth. The crowds had been waiting for hours.
People of Earth, your fleet has returned. Aboard the Retribution, we carry Lieutenant Stephen Merrifield. He waited 20 years. We answered.
The coffin, draped in the flag of the United Space Forces, was carried into the rotunda of the Terran Memorial Hall. An honor guard stood at its four corners. The plaque on the museum display read, Beacon Unit 94, activated by Lieutenant Stephen Merrifield, 2203, deactivated 2223. This device summoned the reprisal fleet and ended the Krell War. Thousands filed past the coffin in silence. Old veterans saluted. School children left drawings of stars and ships. On every public screen, every data feed, the same headline burned. He called the reckoning.
He kept faith with us, and we kept faith with him. There is no greater honor.
In the museum, a child asked why the beacon no longer blinked. The reply was simple, because its job is done. The war was over. A single man's beacon had lit Earth's vengeful fire, and his was the only new grave among the old. The promise made 20 years ago had been fulfilled, and the galaxy would never forget the soldier who waited. Under a gray sky, the caisson carried Lieutenant Stephen Merrifield to the military cemetery. Thousands lined the path, holding flags. 6 soldiers in ceremonial whites folded the flag, once draped over his frozen body, into a tight, perfect triangle. The crack of 21 rifles split the air. The salute echoed across the field of 1,000 white stones.
Admiral Vasquez stepped to the lectern. The wind caught her voice, but her words cut through the silence. His final recorded words were, "For Earth, I wait. Stephen, you waited, and Earth came across the stars. You won a war from the dark of a life pod. We will never forget."
The headstone was unveiled. Simple black granite, engraved in gold, Lieutenant Stephen Merrifield, 2184 to 2203, won the war. They lowered his coffin into the ground. Dirt fell with a soft, final silence. The honor guard presented arms. A bugler played the long, lonely note of farewell. The soldier who waited was home, and the galaxy would never again doubt the promise of Earth. High above Earth, the reprisal fleet assumed its new station, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The guns were cold, but the watch never ended. The Krell adhered to every term. Their warships were scuttled, their arsenals dismantled. The peace, purchased by a dead man's beacon, held firm.
We were ready for war, but I wanted peace. Stephen gave us both.
The reprisal fleet remained on station, not out of distrust, but as a reminder. Earth's word was absolute, and its memory was long.
The reprisal protocol is now a standing peacekeeping force. Our vigil will continue for as long as the stars burn.
On the museum bench, the silent beacon sat under glass, a testament to patience and fury. Children learned its story, and veterans nodded as they passed. The galaxy had learned. A human life pod, floating alone, could hold the weight of an entire species' promise.
The soldier inside the coffin won a war by waiting. That is the kind of enemy we must never become.
And in the deep of space, the ghost of a signal, a final echo of that long-dead cyan beam, faded into the cosmic background. The soldier who waited was home. The promise was kept, and the reprisal fleet stood eternal, watching over a galaxy that would never forget. In his detention cell, Vesh Tark watched a flickering news feed of Stephen Merrifield's burial. The gravestone was small on the screen, but the gold letters seemed to burn.
Won the war, that human, frozen in his coffin, and still he defeated me.
He closed his eyes. The weight of a single moment's arrogance had become a lifetime of remorse. On Earth, the museum hall was quiet. The beacon sat under its glass, a silent companion to the thousands who came to remember. Children asked their parents why the light was off. The answer was always the same: because it doesn't need to call anymore. The gravestone stood among 1,000 others, but its inscription set it apart. Fresh flowers were always there.
They honor him, a hero, and I will be a footnote in the annals of folly.
The beacon remained, silent, inert, but alive in the memory of a species. A promise kept for 20 years could not be erased. And in the deep of space, where the beacon's signal had once cut through the void, there was only peace. The soldier had won his war, and Earth, as always, kept its word. In the Terran Memorial Museum, the beacon sat alone under its spotlight. Its silent face told the story no words could. The plaque read, "He called the reckoning." Below it, a single sentence, a promise kept across 20 years. At the cemetery, fresh rain washed the gravestone, "Won the war." The words gleamed under the passing clouds. Beyond the atmosphere, the reprisal fleet kept its watch. No warship stirred, but the vigilance was absolute. The signal that had traveled 20 years faded to nothing, its final echo dispersing into the cosmic static. But for those who remembered, the promise still rang clear. Earth does not forget, and the reckoning comes for those who doubt it. In the museum, a child placed a single white flower at the beacon's case and whispered, "Thank you." The dead soldier had won, not with a weapon, but with patience. And his was the only grave Earth would ever need to prove its word. The promise kept, the reckoning finished, and the galaxy, at last, at peace, fade to black.